In Pit Lane, proudly brought to you by Online Invent, websites, digital marketing, and custom software. Time of happy Grand Prix week, everybody. Welcome to another edition of In Pit Lane. Yes, we can say coming to you from Grand Prix City, Melbourne, because coming up this weekend, the Grand Prix is back. It's happening this week. Well, as we record this program, it's coming back. Remember the last time we did a Grand Prix preview program 2 years ago? Well, we all sort of know what happened after that. So we don't want to jinx it or anything, but we are thrilled. That's why we're in celebratory mood today. We're having a party, and joining me in celebration is my co-host as usual, Doc. Happy Grand Prix.
Aloha to you too, Brett. Mohala, thank you, in other words. Very good. Oh, it's going to be a magnificent week. It's our favourite. It's like Christmas for us, isn't it?
It is. It's the most wonderful time of the year. It's fantastic.
We even got all dressed up for it.
We got dressed up for it.
And we've got presents as well, too.
We got presents coming up when the Grand Prix goes around the world. In English-speaking countries, the voice of Formula One will be David Croft. David Croft is going to be our guest a little bit later on in the program. We're going to be catching up with him as well. Also, we have live music once again in the studio with our special guests for the night, the Clever References. There they are. They're looking very happy and they're looking very celebratory as well.
Woohoo.
So we'll be back with them in a moment. But right now, let's check what's been a big weekend of motorsport and catch up with the In Pit Lane Motorsport News. Teams, cars and drivers are arriving in Melbourne for this weekend's return of the Australian Formula One Grand Prix at Albert Park. But some of them will be more content than others. Fernando Alonso will take a third new engine in as many races after a water pump failure destroyed his Renault power unit at the previous race. With each driver only allowed 3 engines for the season, any further changes will see the former champion hit with grid penalties. Alfa Romeo is also in trouble, with parts of the car breaking under the stress of its aerodynamic porpoising and engine overheating. The two highest profile teams on Struggle Street right now, though, are Mercedes and McLaren. In both cases, their new cars haven't performed as well as expected, and although Mercedes is a lot closer to the front, the expectation on the team and its high-profile drivers is, of course, much higher. For McLaren, everybody involved in the team, from management to drivers, are telling fans not to expect much of an improvement from the car in the short term. Daniel Ricciardo saying that, "I doubt it'll come overnight. We will just have to be patient. And I think for the wellness of the team, it's important to do that. It's too early to cause a ruckus." Meanwhile, both Red Bull and Ferrari are confident going into the race, with both teams expecting the recent changes to the Albert Park circuit to suit the strong straight-line speed advantage of their cars. Supercars Championship leader Shane van Gisbergen's warmed up for this weekend's series round at Albert Park, with a strong second place in his Australian Rally Championship debut. Driving a Red Bull-sponsored Skoda, the Giz finished second behind rally winner Toyota factory driver Harry Bates in the National Capital Rally in Canberra. The two-time Supercar champion finished the event on a high, winning the televised power stage. He said after the rally that given the chance, he would like to do more rallies where there was no conflict with his supercar commitments. Hyundai Australia scored a podium finish on its return to Australian rallying, with Brendan Reeves in an i20N taking third place. Well, it was a tough weekend for Jack Miller in the Argentinian MotoGP. Miller was off pace all weekend, and a grid penalty dropped him down to 14th on the grid, and that's where he stayed. The race was won by the Aprilia of Alexei Espargaro, the first win for both the rider and the factory. Jorge Martin finished second on his Ducati, with the Suzuki of Alex Rins in third. Spanish riders filling the top 4 places. Hometown favourite Denny Hamlin has returned to the winners' list with victory in the Toyota Owners 400 at Richmond. It was a popular win by the Virginian native who took the lead with 5 laps remaining to hold off Kevin Harvick and William Byron to win by just over half a second. The win was the 4th for Hamlin at the track, but his first top 10 finish this year. Ryan Blaney and Chase Elliott are now tied for the NASCAR Cup Series Championship lead with a 19-point advantage over third-placed Martin Truex. That was a win to Ron Capps over Matt Hagan, Robert Hight and Alexa DeJoria, while Erica Endez secured her second win this season in Pro Stock, leading Christian Curada, Dallas Glenn and Mason McGaha across the line. And that's the news for the week commencing Grand Prix week, Tuesday, April the 5th, 2022. And now, back to me in the studio. You're watching In Pit Lane on Channel 31. When we come back after we take a break, we're going to catch up with our special guest, the voice of Formula One around the world. He is David Croft. Don't go away. This is In Pit Lane and we'll be right back. Okay, so we're on a break. So this is officially we're on a break now. We're on a break.
We've done 2 segments, haven't we?
No, we've done 1 segment.
Oh, I've done 1 segment. Okay.
It only feels like 2 segments. What we normally do when we're on a break for the first break is we tell everybody the work that our wonderful sponsors have done, which is Online Invent. And once again, I had a look. Now, last week I told you about like 404%.
The work Roy does.
The work that Roy does, the team at Online Event with the SEO and services and marketing again. Yet again, it's gone up again by a similar amount.
Really?
Yeah, so
absolutely. Is that to roll? That's budget.
Absolutely
that's budget
crazy.
speak.
Yeah. Yes, it's budget.
I was going to say.
Budget speak. Temporary until, runs out as soon as the election is called.
6-month exercise.
But anyway, so thank you to Online Event. If you're a race team, if you're a band, if you're doing any sort of social media thing at all and you want to catch up and do it properly and professionally, then you have to talk to the people at Online Invent. And we do thank Roy and all the team at Online Invent for their support of In Pit Lane and Channel 31 and RMI TV. Welcome back to In Pit Lane. We're coming up this weekend at the Australian Formula One Grand Prix. Millions and millions of people around the world will be watching, and if they speak English, the voice they're going to hear is our guest tonight. Now, unfortunately, he's not in the studio with us because he's a little busy at the moment. Actually, as you are watching this live on Channel 31, he's actually down at the Convention Centre with his mate Martin Brundle in an episode of a live stage show called Ask Crofty. Well, if you can't ask Crofty, I had my own personal Ask Crofty session, and I caught up with David a little bit earlier, and the first thing I asked him was, what have we learned from the start of this season in Formula One?
What have we learned? That despite being the pre-season favourites after the Bahrain test, Red Bull are still human, and mistakes can happen, and reliability is still a massive issue. We've learned that Ferrari were always in the hunt, even though Red Bull took over the favourites tag after the Bahrain test. We've learned that Mercedes weren't lying and they weren't sandbagging either, and that they did have work to do. And for once, they were telling the truth in that respect. I think the biggest thing we've learned is that some teams have an awful lot of work to do to get their cars up to a standard that they want. And there's quite a gap, I think, between the top 2 teams and then Mercedes just slightly behind, and then the rest of the pack. Aston Martin, Williams, McLaren, 3 teams that are really going to need to burn a lot of midnight oil back at the bases to just find a way around the porpoising to cure the aerodynamic woes and to get themselves back up the grid. We've also learned that Haas are back, and that Alfa Romeo have got a chance as well. And if you're running a Ferrari engine, certainly around Bahrain, it seems to be a very good thing at the moment. So that's pretty much it for the teams. But what I learnt, I think, was that these new regulations where cars should be able to follow more closely the car in front work. The drivers weren't complaining about their tyres. First time in a long time we haven't had that. And the action was good.
How important is it for Formula One to have a genuinely competitive Ferrari?
I think it makes everyone smile. from time to time to hear the Italian national anthem being played out with a Ferrari driver on the top step of the podium. There's just something right about that, isn't there? Something good in the world when Ferrari are doing well. The team with the longevity, they're the most successful team in Formula One, and they need to be competitive. They should be competitive. They should have been competitive for years, but that hasn't been the case. What I think is more important is that they're competitive and not coming up with a bit of skullduggery behind the scenes. In 2019, we all marveled at the speed of the Ferrari, but then we learned that actually they were cheating and they were doing something with the engine that they shouldn't have been doing. So I think for me, it's great to see the Scuderia back up there, providing a title challenge. For the fans, and especially the Italian fans, who absolutely adore this team. It's a passion, it's a religion. It's not just a Formula One team. This means absolutely everything. But overall, I think it just means that we could be in for a very healthy period of great competitive action in Formula One, where it's not just Mercedes against Red Bull week after week. We want to spread the love. We want to spread the variety, feel the width of competition out there and have a few more teams. I personally, I love hearing the Italian national anthem. I think it goes rather well with the Monegasque national anthem as well, up on the top step of that podium. It's a very happy, joyous occasion.
At the other end of the field, certainly from the first round, and one that, of course, has made a lot of interest, carries a lot of interest in Australia, was the performance by McLaren. Were you surprised at just how far off the pace they were for that opening round?
Yeah, I was very surprised. I knew that they obviously had problems with the brake ducts and the cooling and the brakes that were overheating, and I knew that was quite severe during the test. An interim fix was found, but it wasn't a fix that satisfied Andreas Seidel or the rest of his team. But I don't just think it's the brake ducts with McLaren. I think there's something else with that car that they need to be sorting out. And when you add into the equation the fact that Daniel Ricciardo was a bit undercooked, a bit underprepared, hardly surprising given that he missed the Bahrain test and he was recovering from COVID, it just all added up to another Bahrain Grand Prix that McLaren would want to forget. And that's not great given the investment that has been put into that team coming from Bahrain over the last few years. It's not the work of a moment to put these cars right and to fix these cars. The cost cap obviously has an influence with that because you just can't go and spend in Formula One anymore. You've got a limit. You've got a budget limit. But I was talking to some aerodynamicists before the start of the season. They said, look, in the past, if something was wrong on the car, we could fix it with a winglet here, a turning vane there. We could remodify the front wing a little bit. You can't do that now. So everything has to take that little bit longer to understand the problem, identify it, understand it, and then work out a fix. Not until at least Imola am I expecting to see a massive performance change in any of the teams that were struggling. And McLaren could take a bit longer because some of the faces I saw on Sunday night, they really were very down about it.
What about, you mentioned Dan Ricciardo, then obviously, I mean, he's our hometown, well, not hometown, but home country hero here in Australia. There's been some talk in the local media from some saying that this is really a make or break year for Daniel. I mean, with the tidal wave of young talent that's coming through Formula 2, including another Australia in young Oscar Piastri. I mean, what's the situation with Daniel? Do you think that's overstating it, that his position might be in jeopardy if he doesn't perform well this year?
Yeah, I think it's overstating it to a touch, but McLaren have brought him in on a decent wage to perform and to bring results. Now, he did bring a result last year. He did get a win, and the team had a 1-2, and they were the only team that got a 1-2 finish last season. But overall, it's been more races that Daniel's been disappointed in than he has reason to smile when he's been at McLaren. It should be a perfect fit. It should be going swimmingly and smoothly, but some reason his teammate Lando Norris seems to be able to extract more out of that car than Daniel. Now, Lando's grown up in the McLaren stable, and maybe, that the car last year was more to his liking. I don't think we can judge whether either driver likes this year's car or not because it's too soon in the season. But Daniel's got a real fight on his hands because Lando's good and talented and arguably could have won a race himself last year Had he not have stayed out when it was raining in Sochi, he would have done. So, is it overstating it? Yes. Is Daniel Ricciardo in trouble? No. Does he need to improve? Yes. Is he falling below the standards he sets himself and McLaren set him? Probably. And I think that's the key. He will want to do better for himself because he sets such high standards. But I don't expect to see Daniel Ricciardo out of Formula One in the near future. He is, after all, a 7-time race winner and a man that on his day thrills, delights, entertains, and succeeds. And speaking of Oscar Piastri, he definitely needs a seat in Formula One. It's interesting that Alpine have offered him up to the McLaren team should they need a reserve driver. Renault, Alpine need to find a seat for Oscar Piastri. This is not a man that can stand by for very much longer. This season, yes. But next season, he's got to be in Formula One, deserves to be in Formula One, and has proved how good he is in the junior formula. So, balls in your court, Otmar Safnauer and Laurent Rossi over at Alpine. Find that man a seat.
The other Australian that was heavily involved in Formula One, at least last year, was a guy called Michael Massey. In light of everything that, without going into the chapter and verse of everything that's happened, it's been gone over 1 million times. Do you think that Michael, I think it's certainly the attitude from a lot of us who know Michael here in Australia and a lot of the media here is that he's been treated fairly shabbily by the FIA. What do you think about that?
I've read the report and I've reread the report and I've read it again. I think Michael Massey should still be in his job. There is nothing in that report that pins the human error on Michael Massey. It talks of human error towards the end of that race, but it doesn't say it was Michael's fault. As far as I'm aware, Michael Massey wasn't even interviewed in the compilation of that report and that inquiry into the closing stages in Abu Dhabi, nor was his deputy race director on the day either. I don't understand that. Surely they're the first people you want to go and interview. He wasn't supported in any way by his FIA president, Jean Todt, in the aftermath of Abu Dhabi. His position has now changed. He's still employed by the FIA, but he has been removed of his post as race director, without anything in that report saying this is why this has happened. So I'm a bit puzzled, really, and would like to know more from the FIA as to whether they are solely blaming Michael Massey for that human error. They talk about the pressure that was put on him by the team principals, which was not right, not in the slightest. They talk about the stresses and the strains of the job. And it was clear and it was evident. And I said this long before Abu Dhabi, he needed support and he needed help. And the support that has now been put in place in the aftermath of this report should have come in a year ago. All of which might have helped Michael Massey in that highly pressurized environment in that moment. Now, there might be other circumstances that we are not aware of. Michael might have been offered support in the past and turned it down. But all I knew was that he was good at his job, friendly, approachable man who was always keen to help you out, but was massively overworked under a huge amount of stress and not particularly supported from the outside, it appeared, by his employers. I think he's been treated dreadfully by the FIA, and I don't think that we've heard the last of the story. And I think there's probably more to come on this one in the future. But at least changes have been made and at least structures have been put in place so that in the future, mistakes like that are avoidable. But this is live sport. And when you're officiating in live sport, mistakes do happen from time to time. Just ask any football fan. Has VAR helped football? Not really. Mistakes are still happening, still interpretation, one person's interpretation of the rules. And I don't think VAR will necessarily help Formula One either, because it's all about interpretation at times. But no, I'd love to sit down and have a chat with Michael, see what he feels about the situation, because from the outside, I think he's been treated very badly.
We'll have more with David Croft right after the break. Also, we'll be joined by our band, The Clever References, to play us out at the end of the program. This is In Pit Lane, Channel 31. It's Grand Prix week, everybody. Celebrate, have a ball. We'll be back right after this break. Okay, Pete, so we're just about ready to come back and we'll introduce to you Mr. David Croft. Yes, with the band are set up already, and what they're going to do is the band, as is traditional, on
They usually go trundling on by and cut us off at the short and curlies.
We're going to have a bonus for all of you watching on the In Pit Lane YouTube channel, and of course on watching us live right now on Facebook Live. This is a bonus you get for watching the program live or watching us online. It's a second song from our band, and our band tonight is, as I said at the opening of the program, the Clever References. You can catch up with them. They're on TikTok. I have no idea what TikTok is. All the young people are into it, apparently. Don't know why, but apparently, we're young people and they're into it. And you can see them at the TikTok at the Clever References. So, yes, whatever. What do they do on TikTok?
I don't know. I think they dance a lot and hurt themselves.
Oh,
that's the stuff I've seen anyway, and they're putting warnings out, government warnings out left, right, and centre.
Sounds like Saturday night at the Stanford.
I think probably every week, isn't it? That's a issue.
Yeah,
I think
it used to be back in the old days.
Well, if they ban TikTok, that means they ban this ban in America, wouldn't they, as well too?
Yes, I suppose so. Yes, it's all part of a communist revolution. Communist revolution. Speaking of parts of communist revolution, we're going to be joined by, as I said, to play us a bonus song tonight is the Clever References, and they're going to tell Ben Kate. Ladies and gentlemen, the Clever References.
Thought I'd end up alone. Turns out we're all alone together. Now I'm out of social. Gave over a lack of personality. Her, it's just money. When you are eternal scientists, the brightest light would still be dark. We need different illumination. One that doesn't lie to your face and denies truth and facts. You're all just facts. Don't you tell us to relax. Thought I'd be all alone. Turns out we're all in this together. Now I'm out of social. Can pave over a lack of sympathy. Have people money when you are eternal scientists. The brightest light would still be dark. We need different illumination. One that doesn't lie to your face and denies truth and facts. You're all just facts. Don't you tell us to relax. Let's stop being deceived and act upon our grief. A loss today won't matter, even if we get better. If in the end we win the war. But it is hard to see when you are eternal scientists. The brightest light would still be dark. We need different illumination. One that doesn't lie to your face and denies. When you are eternal scientists, the brightest light would still be dark. We need different illumination. One that doesn't lie to your face and denies truth and facts. You're all just facts. Don't you tell us.
We're in party mode here on In Pit Lane tonight because it is Grand Prix week coming up, the Australian Grand Prix. If you'd like to catch up with the latest news from the Australian Grand Prix, be watching this Thursday night at 9 o'clock on the In Pit Lane YouTube channel and the Facebook page for Full Course Yellow. That's when Doc and I and all the crew will get together, or who's ever available anyway. Some of us will be out there and actually at the Grand Prix and working at the Grand Prix, so it might be a little bit busy. But whatever the latest news is, you can see that this week on this Thursday night on Full Course Yellow live. Now, speaking of the Formula One Grand Prix, let's get back and round out our interview with David Croft. Great guy, and let's head back now and hear from David Croft. Now, just quickly, coming back to Melbourne on the grander scale, of course, after what happened a couple of years ago, how much are you looking forward to coming back? How much are you looking forward to the changes to the track, which we've had a look at them, and they are considerable, and I think they'll make a big improvement to the racing there. And we've already know that both Saturday and Sunday are already sold out. So, how much are you looking forward to coming back? Because the fans are clearly looking forward to being back again.
Yeah. I heard from Andrew Westercott last night. He looked a very happy man with himself, and so he should be. How much am I looking forward to coming back to Melbourne? I don't think I can actually I can't put a comparison on it. It's 2 years we've been away, 3 really, because we didn't get a race in 2019. Some venues, some countries host a Formula One race. And some venues and countries embrace Formula One and put on a festival. And Australia is one of those countries. Melbourne is one of those cities, and the Australian fans are a group of those people. I absolutely love being in Albert Park, wandering around, listening to the fans chatting away and talking F1, and then seeing the cars go around the track, not just the Formula One cars. I will sneak a little look at the Aussie V8s as well, because those things are magnificent. I really enjoy watching those. The changes to the track, look, the cars are getting wider, so they're not going to get any narrower to fit the track a little better. So let's make the track a little bit wider. And I agree with you. I think the track has been widened in the parts that we needed it. I love the 9 and 10 chicane being removed, so it's now a straight and another DRS zone. And then what used to be 11 and 12 and is now 9 and 10, that left-right kink is going to be absolutely flat-out furious. I can't wait to see the cars going through there. And because they're going faster through there, that should lengthen the braking zone into the next right-hander, which should create some overtaking as well. They are positive changes to a track that has needed changing for a few years now, and I'm glad they've managed to do it. It's the only thing I used to hate about going all the way down to Australia, often for the opening race of the season, was that we didn't always get a race that reflected the passion and the support for Formula One that was going on in Albert Park. And I think we might get that this year. New rules, new regulations, new track, new resurfacing. Good to get rid of the bumps because these cars are quite stiffly sprung as well. I can't wait. But Daniel Ricciardo says it's going to be good. And when Daniel Ricciardo says it's going to be good, you know it's going to be good. I think it's going to be a fabulous weekend. Tell me though, I've got a question for you. Is it going to be cold? I need to think about my packing for Melbourne. We're a little bit later than normal. Do I need to bring jumpers, or can I still wear T-shirts, or what?
The famous Crowded House song, 4 Seasons in One Day, was written in tribute to Melbourne. So at that time of the year, it could be 35 degrees, it could be 12 degrees. So be prepared.
I'll do that. I was never into Cub Scouts, you see. That's my trouble.
Well, we look forward to seeing you and hearing you back here, and we look forward to, for those who will attend, to seeing you with Ask Crofty at the plenary at the Melbourne Convention Centre. Thanks for giving us some time here, and good luck for the rest of the season. Enjoy your various Grands Prix over the year, and safe travel. And until we see you again, David Croft, thanks for joining us in Pit Lane.
Absolute pleasure. Be happy to come and speak to you guys again. Take care.
Yes, and thank you very much to David Croft. That was Doc. That was going to be. They said you'll be able to get a couple of minutes with David. He's very, very busy man. As you heard in the interview, it went on. That is not the whole. If you want to watch the whole of the interview, we'll put it up on the In Pit Lane YouTube channel because it went on a bit. It was a great time. That's a man who's really enthusiastic about his Formula One.
Sounds like you both were very generous with your time, and it's great to have an insight from both of you.
It was great fun. So thank you to David, and thank you to our band tonight, the Clever References. They're going to play us out on this Grand Prix preview week, and we've had the Clever References in the past, but not in this particular lineup. But they're going to take us out tonight with a song that, it's a question that we're all asking ourselves after the Formula One Grand Prix and after all that's gone on, and that is, will we ever meet each other ever again? Ladies and gentlemen, the Clever References. See you next week. Good night. Happy Grand Prix.
Good night.
Will we ever meet each other meet each other ever again? Will we ever meet each other ever again? Or is this just the abrupt? Oh, how good's being misled? Now we're disembodied heads. We're longing for connection. We're writhing, but what can we do? But wonder we missed our shot. We're straight deal, anyone has got. But who am I in anything? Philosophizing got me saying things I might regret. I'm lashing out. Can you look away? I'm not as good a thinker I think I am. Dropping all pretension, I'll just say I miss you. Will we ever meet each other ever again? Will we ever meet each other ever again? Oh, the heroes of fiction, they got nothing on you. I felt the pull of attraction, held back just to make sure. Oh, what seemed like the wrong tact became disembodied facts. We're mind anything. Philosophizing got me saying, oh, is this just the abrupt? Oh, is this just the abrupt?